Before I start tearing into this fucking disaster of a video game, I have to pay some due respect. The story starts out pretty strong. Instead of killing people with a fucking feather, you kill them with actual weapons that an assassin might actually use. Instead of being a jumble of incoherent flashbacks, there is structure and a plot, and people's faces are actually animated. It isn't some masterpiece, but it's interesting enough to where you want to keep playing to see what happens next. That is, until you hit a certain point where the story just grinds to a halt because your character isn't a high enough level. Turns out, the side missions aren't side missions because you have to complete a ton of them in order to level your guy up. Of course, this is where time savers come into play. Ubisoft wants you to spend real money on in-game experience so that you don't have to actually play the game you just bought for $60.
Stop running! I'll crush you!
I already died.
Victory!
You've experienced everything the game has to offer in the first 10 hours, and then it goes on for another 30. By the time you return to the main story, it's almost inseparable from the side content as it devolves into a seemingly endless list of chores.
A midwife wanted you to have this.
Oh, just what I needed.
With Origins, Ubisoft wanted to turn Assassin's Creed into Metal Gear Solid 5. The problem is they still haven't caught up to the technology from Metal Gear Solid 2 yet. The core gameplay is embarrassingly sloppy, leaving this beautiful open world and its hundreds of quests no foundation to stand on. The melee combat feels floaty and unsatisfying with you just sitting there chipping away at a dude's health. Sometimes when you beat a guy, it'll play one of these neat little animations, and other times their body will just ragdoll fly away at 100 miles an hour.
Dang. What? That guy's already dead.
Hurry! Kill the snakes before it's too late!
Don't worry, I'll beat these snakes.
My first experience with the naval combat was me boarding an enemy ship, and then my guy goes, "Prepare to board! Follow me!" So I hop on, start fighting people, and then after a while I realized that none of them actually boarded the ship with me.
Shit, I'm gonna die. If only I had an entire ship of people to help me fight these guys.
Fortunately, my guys did learn to board enemy ships later on in the game. Then there's this guy.
Back up, Misios! You'll feel the sting of my venom!
I stabbed him in the back.
I'll end you, Misios!
Twice. Clearly he was aware that I'm stabbing him, and yet he didn't fight back. He was just kind of standing there pointing, and until I did this move. Now that's the one that pissed him off. Then he was ready to fight. Stealth combat was definitely my favorite way to approach this game, and it's going behind people and pressing the Y button. But at least it looks cool. I also made sure to spec into this Spartan kick ability, which is hilarious. There was a really emotional boss fight where this dude comes at you screaming, and it's like, oh shit, now it's about to get crazy. And that was the entire fight. There are a lot of annoying little oversights, like how you can only fast travel to places where you remember to climb up the specific structure and do the dumb bird thing. The map is filled with tombs and forts, but you're rewarded with such a meager amount of XP for doing them. It isn't even worth it. There's also a general sense of bugginess pervading every minute of the game. You'll go up to a sleeping guard and snap his neck, except his head won't even move. Your character and your horse are constantly getting stuck on the terrain. There was a part where my horse just clipped through a pond.
Oh no. Get off of me!
That being said, if you're willing to look past all of these bugs and the repetitive missions and the microtransactions, there is a middling open world game underneath, which has been released weeks before Red Dead Redemption 2.
Good franchise. Good franchise.